Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. We will hang on for a minute or two while waiting for everyone to connect. And again, welcome everyone who's joining. Feel free to say hello in the chat if you like to. Yeah, we'll hang on for a few more minutes, then we'll get started.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Right, one more minute and we will start this introduction of the Ocean Data Platform and to give you some information about the training you applied for and what we can do next. I'm also waiting
sorry,
for...
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Is it allowed to record this? Because the first 20 minutes I will be a little bit busy on my walk. Is it okay that I recorded it or it's not allowed?
So, great question. This meeting is recorded, as you see on your screen. So we will make the recording available. So you can watch it again after.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. And we're just waiting for Oba King from WIO to join as well. She's going to give a small introduction. Anyway, I think I will actually just get started. So again, welcome everyone. My name is Gustav Kagesten. I'm the Science Director of Hub Ocean. I'm joined today with my colleague Matthew Wally, who's our data and operation lead, and he will also join the presentation today. Matthew, I think I managed to make you a presenter, so it should be fine. If you want to say hello, Matthew, you can.
Yes, that's good news. Yeah, good morning, everyone, or wherever you are, whatever the time of day it is. Great to see you all.
Okay, and then for just for the order of things, we will go through this introduction. There will be a live demo, and then we'll have some more time for questions and a small poll by the end. So we'll save bigger questions until then. At the same time, if something is unclear or you have a burning question, first use this chat, but you are also free to unmute. But we'll try to sort of keep on schedule. So yeah, any sort of major questions we will address at the end. Let me start by sharing my presentation and screen. Okay, Okay, so again, a warm welcome, everyone. Let's see if we got, yeah. So today's webinar is really an introduction to what the Ocean Data Platform is, and we will also show you a bit about the course that's going on right now, and we'll talk a bit about the additional resources that we have available for you already. Right, so essentially, once Obakeng is with us, we'll do a short intro with WIOMSA. I will do a short intro of who Hub Ocean is, what we are. Then we will go into what the training is about that you applied for and what we can sort of offer already, and some ideas that we have to support you further. Then we'll go into an actual live demo of what's already at the platform, how to work with it. We'll do essentially a demo of the open catalog that's there now, how you can ingest, how you can consume data in that catalog. We'll go into the My Data space, which is your own place where you can upload data and use the same technology. And then we'll go over to a little bit of a live demo of how to do actual data analysis. And then we'll end up with short poll questions and a Q&A session. So I think we will cover that well within the hour and a half. We might even be done a bit earlier. Let's see. Let's see. Obakeng, are you with us? Let me. Yeah, if so, just unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
You guys can hear me clearly, right?
We can.
Okay. Good morning. Okay. Good morning. I'm Obakeng Mulelu and I'm from WIOMSA. So I'm the Science to Policy Project Coordinator. And I've been working quite closely with Gustav and the team in making Ocean Data Hub accessible to everyone in the WIO region. So something just popped up. Next slide, please. So WIOMSA is a regional organization that is based on membership, and we work within 10 countries in the Western Indian Ocean, from Somalia right up until South Africa, including the 5 islands. And our members vary from governments, non-government institutions, NPOs, NGOs, even individuals can also be members of WIOMSA. And one of the main things that we're doing at WIOMSA is to promote interdisciplinary research, as well as collaboration, knowledge exchange, and dissemination. So we do this in various ways. And one of our main methods for this is the WIOMSA Symposium that takes place every 3 years. And this is a chance for a lot of our marine scientists to actually showcase the work that they're doing, the impact that they have in communities, in the countries that they're working in, and their contribution to decision making at government and regional level. So mainly we are bridging the science to policy and making ocean science more sustainable and accessible for better coastal management. Next slide, please. So the pillars of WIOMSA, these are the 3 main pillars for WIOMSA. So the first one is the science that supports marine research and decision making. The second one is policy, which translates translating it to, sorry, translating science to policy. And then the third one is capacity development, which is then more about building skills through training, mentorship, and knowledge exchange, which is why this collaboration is very important. And we're thankful that a lot of you are able to be part of the webinar. Next slide, please. So in terms of capacity building, there are four key issues that we look at all times: equity and inclusion. We always make sure that our trainings are accessible. So, for example, even though most of you in this webinar were unable to join the main online course, we still want you to have access to the resources so that we're still able to support you in another way. And then that way you're also able to tell your colleagues and then bring more people into it. So accessibility is quite important, as well as including as many young scientists and women in it. So at a regional level, we are trying our best to reach as many countries as possible, even though, and I'm going to tell you guys now that one of the challenges is that in some cases, we don't have a lot of the island states are not applying for some of the training courses. And so we'd like to really reach further in and get more capacity building for our capacity building to reach more to the islands and to have greater participation from them. And then a lot of the training is co-designed and co-produced, so we don't do it alone. We work a lot with our partners. And last, evidence and learning. So we use monitoring and learning to improve our programs, and that is how then we demonstrate our results and see the impact that we're having in the region. Next slide, please. So I've spoken a lot about Hub Ocean already and the importance of the collaboration that we're having in order to provide you with access to data that will enhance science and decision making, and also enhance the work that you're doing, the research that you're doing as well. And hopefully you're also able to contribute to Hub Ocean, whether it be ideas. I think you guys are also open to technical advice, right? Um, and also we also want we want to learn from each other at all times, not just at a technical level, but also peer-to-peer learning is quite important, which is why then it's important being in this webinar will contribute to peer-to-peer learning and to also extending networks between individuals in different countries. Next slide.
I think that's me.
Oh, okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, King. Thanks for joining us and explaining the importance of the work that WIMSA is doing and how we're working together on this training. So I will go over to just...
Sorry, Gustav, and then for more information, they can visit the WIMSA website or follow us on social media.
Great. And I will show a bit more about the training as well coming up next. And,
All right.
and feel free, Obakeng, to jump in if I'm missing something.
Okay.
Okay, great. So Hub Ocean, just back to who we are and why we're doing this. We are a non-profit tech foundation. We're based out of Norway, but serving the world. We also have a sister company called Rev Ocean, and they have built essentially a new class of research vessel for deep sea work. It's almost 200-meter long, and it's insanely well resourced. So that's gonna start to be operational next year. It's the first field year. It will not be in the WIO region next year, but I'm hoping it will get there in a couple of years. And so that's relevant for this talk because Hub Ocean were essentially built originally to be the data back end to Rev Ocean. And that means taking care of a large amount of sensor data, a large amount of ocean data. Now, actually building that class of research vessel took a long time. So we have spent, our energy to build a really capable, fast ocean data platform to serve the world, and focused a bit more about, serving the global science community with a really powerful ocean data platform. So what's coming next in our development is really ensuring we also serve this kind of survey vessel well. So you can sort of see how where we are now will also develop into more specific support for that kind of operation. And so that is on the roadmap. And yeah, essentially what we do, in the center of what we do is the shiny machine of the ocean data platform. But around that, we're working to get a lot more data available, both from public sources that may not be so accessible still, or that are accessible, but they're just in many different places. We're working to get more private data shared, whether it's a researcher's hard drive or if it's from the industry. So we do quite a lot of work to get industry to share their data back to science. We have some great examples of that. For example, in Antarctica, we have shared fishery data over 15 years with a partner of ours, which allows some interesting information to be extracted, like predator-prey relationships between the krill fishing there and the predators like whales and dolphins. Sorry, whales and penguins and fur seals, as an example. Now, industry data sharing is really hard work, but we are making some fairly good progress on this. And then on the other side, we are a resource for many different things with Ocean Data Platform. We work hard to support science and research. We also have a strong ambition to help protect and restore the ocean, accelerate the 30 by 30 protection, and to transform ocean industries. So we keep that in mind. We don't really do advocacy work in that way, but we try to partner up and make our resources and powers available together with partners to reach those goals. And this effort you're part of now is really part of our empowering higher ed and research. Of course, everything is connected, so a lot of you will be working in a protect and restore agenda. I know that from the applications. Little bit about who is on the platform. You can see that Norway is quite well represented because that's where we are from in a sense, but we're getting a pretty good global coverage with some representation also in the all across the WIO region. The United States and China is also growing, as well as Brazil. So we are a global platform. The data itself currently only sits in European servers, but yeah, it works, I think, efficiently across the globe. Okay, so we're going into a little bit about the training course, and I will show you a bit what it is and what we've done so far. So it started a few weeks back. We have done the first introduction, and we have started looking at the mini projects, and we've been diving in a bit into the My Data space. And the next couple of weeks, we're going into more data analysis, as well as supporting the mini projects. And so I'll show you a bit more in a second. This is who actually applied. So you see, you all represent, the core of you are in the WIO region, and we got representation from all the countries. But we're also thankful that many applied from outside the region too. So even if the zone really went out through WIOMSA, we caught quite a few additionals. So Hub Ocean is keen to support everyone. So we are looking into not only the WIO region, but also supporting better the global demand of trainings and yeah. And you who applied really cross everything from academia to governments to NGOs. And so it's a really good represented sort of part of the ocean expert and ocean practitioners community, as well as academia, which we are very grateful for. We had 40% women and 60% men applying, so a reasonable good representation of everyone, and that's we had some questions who we accepted to the course, and really all of you were qualified. We had a really great amount of applicants, and we just had to pick and choose, and we were keen to just get representation across all the countries and all the sectors. So we tried to be inviting as many as possible from a diversity of backgrounds. And so the fact that you weren't successful in this application does not mean that you're not very relevant for this training. It was just simply a matter of a demo that applied and what we could include in this instructor-led training. Yeah, so we had about 350 that applied for the 50 seats, and so what we're doing next is essentially, well, a part of this webinar where I will show you what is already available to you. We are essentially looking into two options. One, and this is what the QR code here is for, is in the short term, and well, it will be something available in the long term too. We're looking into building a self-paced version that doesn't exclude anyone. So that's what we're going to be developing from the Hub Ocean side. This is not necessarily specific to the WIO, but essentially a self-paced course, and when you complete it, you will get also a certificate of completion. So since you're here and since you're engaged and interested, we would love you to register today and also give us some input of what's important for you in that kind of training. So please, take a photo of the screen now, and we can redistribute this as well, or you can see it in the recording. But we would love you to go in and just do the very short questionnaire. Feel free to do it while I'm talking today as well. I think you can multitask that. And then we have you in the system, as well as we get your input to ensure it's as useful as possible. The other part is for the fall. Me, Pascal, and Obeking were already discussing and looking into opportunities to have an instructor-led course, and hopefully finding a way to manage even more seats. I think the numbers of 50s is probably quite good for a class, because you want to be able to supply lots of support for everyone that takes part. But it's possible that we could either run a couple in parallel, or that we offer a couple of options. The total time now that the current training is extended somewhat to encompass the mini projects and presentations. So it's now a six-week engagement. And anyway, so we're looking into another round of that. I will have a poll in the end just to take a little bit of temperature of what is valuable to you. I think both these two options are great. They serve a bit different purpose or different ways of learning, yeah, a combination of them can also be an option. I think it's great to repeat knowledge a few times. All right, so we've been swimming all the way to the live demo. Is there any? Oh, sorry, I'm actually jumping ahead a bit. I wanted to show you something else before. So just to show you a little bit more what's going on. So the current course, it's hosted in Google Classroom, and everyone, including you, have access to sort of the main online resources. So that's what's supplied here. Our platform, our Slack community, and I will show that in a second. And there's a bunch of live tutorials on the platform that you can already look at. We have excellent documentation, and I will show a bit of that today as well, where you can, self-learn how to do different operations on the platform. And we have a GitHub as well, with additional example codes for those who are into data science. And again, I don't know if you actually accessed or saw the full concept note, but the course structure that we're running at the moment, again, it's introduction of the platform and how to access data through different means. It's a bit about general data management and specifically applied data management on the Ocean Data Platform. And we're doing, in this course, we're also doing a number of exercises for people to, and not just listen to this information, but to practice it themselves. I personally think that's the only way to learn, is to get your sort of sleeves roll up and get working with the platform and some applied work. And the next couple of weeks, we are going a bit deeper into the data science environment, and we'll talk a bit and show a bit about how AI can support, sort of break down the barrier to those that, go into actual coding. I think that's a big thing going on now, that with support of AI tools, if you know what you're asking for and you understand the data and you have access to infrastructure, you can actually do quite a lot that was not so easy before. And now, as long as you understand the basic concepts and have a good question, you can actually do quite a lot with help of AI coding. And so we'll have a look at that as well. So anyway, that's the current course that goes on, and then also I'll show you this. So the other part that the participants in the current course are doing is a mini project, and it's going on side by side with the course. So this allows a bit of collaboration. We've divided the teams into 5 groups, with a leader in each from the region, and they will go through and do a bit of a small mini project to bring some data together, to collaborate and to make an output. And for those that are successful in creating an output, it will also there will be an ability to put that into the WIO blog or newsletter as well. So a bit of exposure. Okay, so that's sort of the training that goes on and that we're supporting at the moment. So I just want to highlight that we have an open Slack community. I'll actually put this link in the chat in a second as well. The Slack is just a way to talk about anything, ask questions, and an advantage there. We also have a sort of closed support channel on the platform that you can use, but the advantage of the Slack is you can learn from each other. The backend tech team is there, so you'll have access to our deep back-end software engineers to help you if you run into some problems in the platform. And yeah, so also for the course participants, currently that is a main place where they can ask these kind of questions. Great. Let's go back to my little presentation. Now we're into the live demo. So my fish in the right place. So again, I just want to just talk shortly about the shiny machine we built in the middle of everything we do. So the Ocean Data Platform is an API-based data platform. It's built for speed and for simplicity. It has an open data catalog where we try to put as much useful data for a global audience as we can. It is by no means a complete catalog with everything you ever want, but we're trying to put some powerful, good data sets to get you started, and we're building that out to the pace that we can. Now, addition to that, and this is a really powerful part when you get going, is that you have your own data space where you can collaborate on data. You can choose who to share data with, and you can also request to publish data in the open catalog. Now, that allows you to use the same technology as that we built for the open catalog for data sets that you want to bring in. They can be public data sets or those of your own. And then you can join them together in the platform. And the platform itself is the platform itself, the website you go into is one way to consume the data, to explore data, and so on. But you can also connect to the platform through other tools, websites, applications, and so on. So it means it can serve a backend to other applications. And this is also, we think, is a very important part when it comes to utilizing different AI options out there. That, regardless of how much tools becomes available to for example, create websites and other things with AI, you still need a powerful backend that can serve the data fast. So we believe this is important. We also have our own workspace, but you can also, which I will show today, but you can also connect to the data through other workspaces. Your local workspace, which works great for smaller data, and for running operations on the platform, or other cloud-based workspaces like Google Colab, GitHub Codespaces, and others. And there's integration with GIS, which will be shown by Matthew today. Okay, enough talking. If you do, at least enough talking from the presentation. If you do want to know more about us, head over to our website. There's an About section, and here, there's more background. There's a Q&A session, and you can see all of us that are working here as well. Now we're going to go over to the platform. So we'll hit the platform. Now, same address, but just the app in the start, app.hubocean.earth, and you'll get into the platform. I'm right now into signed in mode. Well, I can be brave and log out. Hopefully, this is what greets you when you get in here. And when you're not signed in, you have still an open catalog, with the difference that you cannot actually download the data in this catalog. So if you go in and find the data set, you can explore it, but you'll find that, you can sort of get to the metadata part, but you cannot download the data. But no stress, because all you need to do is to create an account that's free. You sign in, and you're good to go. So so we'll first take a look at the catalog, what's in there, how it works. And you will actually see during this year that we're going to have quite a lot of design updates. We have spent a lot of time building a powerful backend, and we're even doing, that's always an iterative work. We're going to have another level of backend power coming through the year as well. But it's already a very powerful platform, and we've I think it's already powerful and good to use. But you're going to see also that we're iterating quite fast, and some design updates are on the way too. Okay, so what you see here, it's a big list of data. You see data sets and data collections. Let's keep those two checked. So here you can both do a spatial search. So let's say we're focusing on the WIO today. We can do it very zoomed in, or we can do it quite general. And then you can search on any theme you want in addition to that. If we just have a look at one of the first options here, this is actually quite a useful data set that we made available globally through a partner called Protected Seas. You can reach their data through their own web as well, but you cannot really dive into the data. You can see it, you can use their map explorer, but if you want to dig into the data, that's not quite available through their service. And there is actually a webinar with Protected Seas. If you look through our old recordings, if you're interested to hear their voice and what they've done, it's quite an impressive work they're doing. Anyway, so we made the data available. It's with a CC BY, which means Creative Commons, and the only thing you need to do is by attribution, so you can use it commercially or non-commercially. You have to always check the licenses, of course, when you're creating data products or using this for external uses. Okay, so what you find then, aside of this metadata, and here again, this is a global data set, so the whole globe is covered. And you see a bit of a time range when that data is from. Now, this data is essentially a huge table with geometries. In this case, mainly sort of shapes. So geometries can be line, points, and shapes. In this case, it's protected areas. And geometries, well, we can call this tabular data or vector data. And they have a native support on the platform. And I will show a bit more what that actually means. So it means we can already start exploring inside the data on the platform. So yes, you see the size of that data, but you also see the number of columns, so how many categories are in, and how many rows. Here you can see that is 20,000 rows. It's actually, in my mind, a fairly small data set, but not trivial, right? It's still quite a bit of data. And then, and depending on what metadata was put in, there can be different levels of information here. In this case, we have supplied also some metadata about each column. What is this column meaning? And again, you can do the same for the data you put in, and you don't need to supply this information, but you can make it quite user-friendly by doing that, right? And so we could scroll over to something, yeah, and that really interests us and see some basic statistics that we generate on the fly when the data is uploaded. Below here you find just some files, and so files are also possible to have on the platform, and some of the datasets are only files. I will show you some examples of that. Some of them, like PDFs and text files, you can preview on the platform too, and all of it you can download. So that's file metadata. There was really nothing in there, but we could hit the download button here on that file. We can also hit the download option on the whole data set. We offer 3 formats at the moment. Parquet files, which is the fastest file that we offer. It's a cloud optimized table. We have the CSV, which is good for interoperability. So you can open that in Excel spreadsheets if you want, unless it's large. And you can modify it yourself quite easily in just, for example, a text editor or an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. And then we have GeoJSON, which is a native spatial format, which is great because then it already has the projections and all of that. So it's quite nice to use in GIS. But it is a bit larger to download. And so we'll come back to that. But you can, yeah, of course, if data is really large, no matter how powerful platform you have, when you start downloading large data, you will eventually run into some problems. And if you're going to be collaborating on that, then yeah, you will spend a lot of effort downloading data and redoing that effort over and over again, most likely. We can go in to explore that table, and then we'll have another sort of beta feature coming to explore the map. I will show you those just now. So if we jump into the table, the platform just grabs the first maximum 1,000 rows in the table, and you see it's just a bit of random polygons. It does not show you the whole data at this point, because we're accessing the real data here in the cloud, and we want to be a bit careful. However, what we can do is we can already start filtering data, and we can do a spatial filter. Let's have a look, for example, at an area in the Mozambique Channel, and we'll have a go at that. And most likely now we're going to find a lot less polygons. We actually only found 17 protected areas in our area. And then we could also filter on any of these columns that were inside the data. And then you hit this little filter button. And for example, maybe we just want to look at marine protected areas. We can add that to our filter. And then we have excluded. Yeah, I guess one area was excluded. And we can also give it a color. So you can visualize any of the categories, and you can visualize continuous variables as well by hitting these little 3 dots if they're available. If they're not available, it means that, here, for example, there are too many titles, so the data is not structured in a way that that makes sense to show as a thematic variable. Anyway, so this is sort of already made. As soon as you upload the data, this happens. Now here you can also see, now you've done a selection and you have explored the data. You can hit show code examples, and here you see this is the dataset ID. You can also find that on that metadata page, on the first page. But here we have supplied the information how to connect to the data in Python or in R, which are the 2 open source program languages that we are compatible with. And if you are a person who never done anything in Python and R, that's our ambitions also with the course, that we give you a first experience of what that is like, and yeah, how you can get started using those resources. For those that are very advanced already, we support that as well and try to provide you with some good new challenges and understanding how Ocean Data Platform can be part of your workflow. Anyway, so this is actually already, for example, that polygon I draw, it's created that polygon for you in code. So you can use that to filter the data and just grab what you want. Good. Okay, and then we can also export this again if you actually are the person who just need that downloaded, just that selection of data. If we go back out again, we can hit the Explore Map feature, and this shows you something else. So again, as you see, now we're actually looking at the whole data set. And we're doing that quickly with something called vector tiles. So you might be familiar with raster tiles. And well, if it's simply what all, for example, map engines use, Google Maps and so on, to give you the ability to zoom in and out quickly in the web. So when you're zoomed out, you get a low resolution that's quick to show graphically, and as you zoom in, you get more detail. Now, doing that for vector data is actually a bit more tricky because it can come in so many different flavors, and but that's what vector tiles does. And on the back end, we work to make this really fast from the Ocean Data Platform side. So vector tiles is a global standard. Itself is not developed by us, but we are developing the ways to make this kind of data really working well with vector tiles. Okay, so here you can explore everything, and we're gonna have some more features using this technology coming up to allow you to sort of color and filter using vector tiles and add multi-layers. All of those are on the roadmap. Okay, let's go back to the data. I just want to show you again. This is also the ID that you can use, and then there is documentation how to connect to GIS, and you can connect through something called OGC features, where you can bring in both the open and your private catalog, and you can use it with something, with the vector tiles. And we have good documentation on that on the web. However, I thought maybe we start with a live demo. Matthew, are you available to show us the QGIS part?
I am available. I still doesn't look like I can share, but I've come up with a workaround. If you Gustav, look in your chat, you can see a video that I've done. And
Okay.
if you can share that, I can talk along just for
Okay. Nicely
the
done.
the
But let me just test if I can. Hmm, 'cause I thought I gave you
the
access to share, and you can't hit the share button. It doesn't work.
it's great, I'm afraid. No. Yeah. Yeah, the situation we have, unfortunately, people, is that the our colleague that set this up is busy getting married to disturb her. Just
Yeah.
now I see a share button. Okay. Well, now I'm gonna have to remember what I did. I nailed it
I
in
think
the recording,
it,
but no, it's all right.
it's more fun with a live demo because then things can go wrong, and I think the audience liked that.
Great, great. Okay, let me see then. Uh, 1 second. All right. Sorry, a bit trying to. Okay, so yes, I am going to show you, I think some of the similar stuff that you've seen from Gustav, right? Because the way that we've tried to build this platform is to say, data that's on the ODP is there once and you manage it in one place. But we try to give multiple ways to access and interact and use that data, whether it's the metadata or the data itself. So, in some ways that's actually, I should do my full screen because I'm going to do QGIS. So in some ways that's kind of, maybe you think it's confusing to see multiple different ways to do it, but we try to center that on, that the data sets have multiple access methods. So again, if we come back to our main data platform here, and I'm just going to start with a very simple example, which is this small data set that we've featured on our front page just to show some of the features, for example. So first of all, I'm going to show you how we can connect to this data set. So if you find any data set, like Gustav showed you on the platform, if it's got this table and the geospatial information part of it, then we can also connect it to our OGC features connection. And this is really, well, one of two ways that you can connect data to GIS tools, which can be very important for certain use cases and are really useful tools for a lot of people. So there's documentation here that I can open and just show you a little bit. So if you want to come back to this later, it tells you how to use this URL and connect it. I'll show that to you now. But the documentation is also there. So first of all, what we're going to do is, well, I suppose the other thing to say before that is when I talk about GIS tools, and maybe you say, well, I don't have a GIS tool. We internally use a tool called QGIS. I think the two main ones that people use are QGIS or ArcGIS. ArcGIS tends to be paid and have licenses and stuff. QGIS is a very, very good free open source version of a GIS tool. So I mean, this is available for everyone, and it is very powerful. So it's a nice one to know about. If you download it, it looks kind of like this. This is a fresh blank project. And you have kind of these data connections on the left-hand side. For those of you that are familiar, then I'm going over things, but different ways to connect data, different types of endpoints. And you can see that there is one here that relates to the one we're talking about, WFS OGC API features. So this is one way of connecting data into this that is handled somewhere else, but streamed to your application as and when you need it. So not stored on your local, just taken from the platform. So if we go back to our data set, the OGC features link is here. And like I say, or you can either run from the documentation or this. With OGC features, you only need to integrate once, and then you have all the data sets that are public in the catalog available to you, which is nice. So I can show you that. You can either click on the right click here and say new connection, or you can go into layer, add WFS OGC API features layer. Either way, you get the same possibility. So that's one way. I actually think this way is a little bit simpler and more elegant. You can just open this up, add a name, and we're going to say Ocean Data Platform, ODP, OGC features, demo. And when you do it this way, just to say this, this is then be public. I'm not going to put any authentication in here. So this is not, so this is only accessing publicly available published data. Once you've done that, you'll see a link come up here, and I've obviously got some from before because I use this regularly. Then you see essentially a list of datasets that are published down here. So the one that I looked at just there is this one here. But first of all, just to make it a little bit nicer, I'm just going to put a base map on so we get some kind of context. And again, I use my own one, which is staying, nicely on brand and all that. And so, yeah, then we can start putting data layers on top. So the data that we saw just before was this one, for example. You can see it's in this Amazon mouth, and it loads up here. And then if you want to, it's very quick and easy to just throw layers on top of layers, and then you start having a nice project, basically. So that's a very quick way to get multiple layers in. Some bigger data sets don't get served super well through the OGC features. It's not the fastest connection method in a way if you've got really big polygons, complex geometries and all sorts of things. So it's worth knowing that there's a kind of an intrinsic limitation to that. It does tend to load the data in the viewport. So if you have a lot of data and you're only interested in a small region, it's worth zooming in a bit first. I'm just going to show you with this, I think, one little kind of way that this can loop back into our platform, and you can see how this works as a cycle. So, one of the good things about using this connection method is that the data here is, and to have it in QGIS itself or any GIS application, is that you can then do operations on the data itself. So this data can be used, it can be analyzed, it can be done something with. I'm going to do something very simple, and I'm just going to assume, and this will look very odd because I haven't done this properly, but if we take, say, those reef features and we wanted to put a buffer around them, say that there's an exclusion difference. Now, bear with me, this is in degrees. I'm not going to bother to change that. So it's a bit nonsensical, but we can do that. We could create a layer like this. That's now buffered all of the different polygons. So let's say we didn't want to go within a region of those. And again, you could do something else quick. You could do something like dissolve all those together. And then you get one nice big polygon. I'm just going to show you very quickly how this can sync into some other features of the platform, because once you have data like this, you can actually export it quite easily. So I'm going to call this reef buffer and save it and export it. And because our platform is not just for public data, but it's for data that is that you as a user can add, you can create a data set. We'll call it reef buffer demo. I'm going to write a full description for you today, but you can start to drop this data in. It was this GeoJSON here. You can ingest it. Again, I'm not going to take the time to kind of show this, but I just want to show you the kind of flow that this can enable. And then that data is then on the Ocean Data Platform. And once it's on the Ocean Data Platform, you can have it like you had before. You can connect to it through OGC features. And that's a nice loop. So the way of working that's a bit more integrated. We'd love to make this more slick and more integrated, so you don't have to kind of back and forth through files. But we'll get there eventually, I think. The other thing this can kind of show you is the other way of connecting to this. So this was the very simple way. You just use the link and you get the public data. But should you want to get your private data sets, like this one, it's private to me. No one else in the world can see this data set. It's just me. If I wanted to share it with someone, I could share it with someone who's got via their email address, or I could, if it was worth publishing, I could request to publish it as well, make it public for everyone. But let's say I just want to use it privately. You also have the option with the OGC features to you can just use the URL as it is, or you can get an API key from our platform and connect for your private data as well. And that's a nice way to then, so again, all the details are here in the documentation. We can maybe pop that in the chat if someone wants to see it. And really, that's a powerful way to get both that as well. You can find your API keys in your account section here. You can either create a new one. I have two already, so I would take this one that I've used for QGIS, for example. I'd copy it to the clipboard. And instead of doing just a very simple integration like you saw before, sorry if I'm jumping back and forth quite a lot. It's maybe a bit confusing, but I'm just trying to give you a flavor of how you do this. Instead of just putting the URL in here, you'd also add an authentication here, and you would write, add a header key here. All this is described quite well in the documentation. So like this, and you put your API key, and then you paste in your thing here. I won't paste mine in here because I've already done it before, and it'll get confused. So it's easier, but like I say, easier to follow the documentation. But once you've done that, then I can take, for example, this one, which I have authorized before, and just refresh it. And then we can see if so this was that reef buffer demo dataset that you see before. And again, if we then we can load that again into QGIS. So this is now the one served from the Ocean Data Platform, not the one from locally. You can see that there's the little description I put. This is the description is there in the dataset. We tend to put the metadata in as well. So for example, for this one, you can see there's the description of the dataset into the link there. So it's kind of like a little way to show how, one, for consumption, you can just add multiple layers from the Ocean Data Platform this way, but also you have this way of both using the functionalities of QGIS, but also then exporting and integrating back into our platform, creating, you can create many private data sets that you then add into your projects in QGIS, and then save your project, and then keep working on that. So it's a kind of starting point and a tool that we hope can become a nice sort of central tool for people in some of these workflows. There's another way that we can connect that you've kind of seen a little bit, but works also well in QGIS or other GS applications, and that's this vector tiles approach. Now, vector tiles are very good for bigger, more complex data sets. So, for example, when they're complex geometries or they're big global data sets, instead of just loading the data as a kind of concrete values, it kind of loads it depending on the zoom level. So at a certain zoom level, it abstracts a bit, it removes some of the detail, and as you zoom in, the detail gets bigger and bigger. Again, we have a documentation page explaining what these are and how you can use them, and also how you can integrate from a particular data set.
Thank you, Martin.
Different.
Or
yep.
you're, yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you how long I should ramble on for.
But, I think we should wrap it up fairly soon.
Great.
So we have time for the ending, and I will show a few things about our workspaces too.
I can show this very, very quickly and just say, the very similar way of connecting. The only main difference is instead of having one link for all datasets on ODP, it's one link per dataset. So this is a dataset, and you put the URL for that dataset there, and then you can just load it once, and you will start to stream that dataset. Like I said, depending on the zoom level. So this is actually a lot of geospatial data being loaded all at once, but it's doing it in a very efficient way, and allowing you to then, zoom in, get more detail, the more you zoom in. So that's, I think that rounds off those connections. If that's a good place to transition back, Gustav, what do you think?
I think so. Perfect. And thank you so much for going to depth, Matthew. I think yeah, it's nice to see in practice how you can work with QGIS. For those that are in ArcGIS, we are still missing live examples of that. But we're yeah, everything that you see here in QGIS is possible to do in ArcGIS. Currently, you have to be a bit savvy and just look around for how to connect to OGC and vector tiles, and you can figure it out. But anyway, there are videos and documentation coming. And again, if you try these things, run into any problems, feel free to use our Slack community, or there's a support button as well that you can use if you want to stay completely private. But we recommend the Slack. Okay, great. I'll go back to sharing. Right. So we'll Matthew already gave you a good show of the My Data space. Maybe I'll just show you one other data example. Let's say we're looking at coral reefs. Do a search here. Then you'll find there's a bunch of global layers, and there's actually some WIO specific layers too that we put in. For example, here's one from my yacht that was put in, and yeah, and if you find data that you want in here, then you can put it in and request to publish it, or you can send us an email and say, I'm missing this data set, could you make it available? And we'll try our best. If we look at one of the global maps, I'll show you this one. This is Alan Coral Atlas. I think many of you have heard about that before. If you go to their own webpage, you actually find quite a capable and good viewer when you're working with their data, and you can access it, you can download it. It's fairly fast. So if you only care about Alan Coral Atlas, you don't, to be honest, actually need our platform if you want to do that locally. It's a nice viewer. They even have some data integrated about turbidity, and yeah, you can find a lot of different things here in a nice map viewer. Now, the problem is that Alan Coral Atlas, it's a global map, but of course it doesn't cover everything, and there will be more data available that you might want to use. Alan Coral Atlas specifically is limited at 15 meters, which means that all the deeper reefs are not in there. So this is an example where you might want to think about using a tool like Ocean Data Platform, especially if you want to do some collaborative work to bring data together, maybe for marine spatial planning or something like that. So, and this is actually not a small data set. We have it on the platform. Matthew specifically have had some real fun with this data. If you go in here, you'll see we made the whole data set available. It has 40 million geometries, and they are fairly complex, each one of them. If you hit the Explore Map feature, it's actually still a bit glitchy because it's such a large data set to tile. So we're actually rebuilding and making an even more powerful backend to serve these kind of very complex data sets even better. But you already can filter and work and download this data with the platform. So again, I won't go into, well, we can do a little spatial filter on, again, on the WIO region. Let's say we're just looking at a small area. And we can access that, and we can color the data, we can explore it. There's even a little secret trick if you're watching this, where you can show more polygons. You might run into problems. Gonna be brave. But we restricted the amount of polygons you get because eventually it will time out. So we found a lot of, oh, sorry, I lost my filter. Let's redo that. Just a live demo fun. try that again. Smaller area. Give it a second. So now we're actually filtering within those 40 million geometries to find just the data we want. And this is what you can do also, again, with the Python or R interface. So you can grab just what you want in a large data set. And then we can give it some color. Here are the classes of Allen Coral Atlas. We have the seagrasses, we have the corals. Maybe we want to only look at corals, we could filter that out as well. And just look at the coral reefs. Anyway, so that's one example, and then you can bring in many other data sets. So what do you do then? Well, first, you might want to add some data of your own. So Matthew already showed this. I'll go through it quickly again. So you can create a collection. A collection is just a grouping, so we have very minimal metadata on the collection level. But here you can add some description. What is this collection about? Maybe it's some field work, maybe it's a project. And you can manage access, who gets to see that. Here, the people you add needs to be signed in on the platform, and you need to know their email address. They can also be groups. Those are managed by us currently. For example, in the training, we have groups for every special project. Okay, so then we'll go into to add a new data set. I'm gonna bring in just the data set we looked at before, just to show you an example in the interest of time. Because this is a tabular data set, the platform is recognizing it, and it can be ingested as a table. If it was just a file, this option would not show up. And now, if we had some problems with that table, we could go in and edit it. We can add descriptions, and again, we can explore that. So let's say this could have been my private coral reef map as well, and I could have chosen to share that with some collaborator or just for myself. I can also make an open link available, which means it's not listed, but it's available for everyone with a sign up. And then you can request to publish. All right, so I'll move on to show you the workspaces. Anyway, maybe it should. So how everything works, how to connect with the data through programming languages, OGC features, vector tiles. Yeah, it's all here on the documentation, so please feel free to go in there and play around. And anyway, so I'll head over to Workspaces, and we'll see if we can do a very quick demo. There are 3 options. This is what you have. A small compute, and then there's this beta version. Of course, this is the cloud, so we can make large compute environments available. Now that costs a lot of resources, but currently, we're very keen to support our users. So if you send us a nice email explaining what you want to do, there's a very good chance that we will give you access to more resources too. At some point, there's going to be an option to to pay additional money to get access to big compute, so we can make this functionality available for more people. But yeah, currently that's not even an option, and we're happy to support you. So just reach out to us. But if you're finding this Jupyter GIS option, I think that's actually the best way to start. So now we're spinning up a Jupyter Lab workspace. And again, this is kind of a separate part of the platform. It is simply an open source replication of Jupyter Lab, which has Python and R and some other resources sitting on our server. So it has fast internet. It is sitting next to the data. And yeah, it's a great resource if you want to start working with data and you don't want to do that locally, different reasons. All right, so this is my workspace. I've created some folders. It has a file share. This is different from the collaborative file share on the platform. It's just kind of a working space that you have. And I'm going to just go into my own notebooks. We had a demo for Nairobi Convention folks in the end of the year to look at how you can join some data. We'll have a look at that quickly. So yeah. Okay, so this is the option that you have when you come in here. You can create a Python notebook and an R notebook. Those are the two really relevant ones to use. But you can also do this GIS project. When you hit that, this is kind of an open source GIS that is built on QGIS, but implemented in the Jupyter Lab environment. And here you have access, for example, to some pre-made maps that they have supplied. And you can add data and work with this. But I think, one of the powerful things is to connect to that through notebooks. So this notebook I'm showing, did I bring up the right notebook? Let's do it again. Okay, this notebook was made to show how you can bring some coral reef data together. And so I'll run it quickly. It's loading a couple of packages. It's connecting to the platform. Now, in the platform, you're already authenticated, so you don't need to create a key. So you can just do this client. But if you do provide a key, it will stay open longer, and you can use the same notebook from other places. So actually using the API key option is recommended. And then let's see, somebody just unmuted themselves. Let's have a look. Lazarus, did you have a question? No. We'll say those to in a few seconds. Anyway, I just want to show you quickly, we're running a little bit low on time. So I can open up this GIS resource next to my notebook, which is quite nice. Now I'm making a bounding box, and you can use the platform to find the coordinates if you want. I made the bounding box in the Mozambique channel as an example that we used. I'm bringing in some different data sets. The WCMC UNEP is a global coral reef map that's been around for a while. I'm connecting to it, and I'm actually bringing that data in with the bounding box, and I'm adding it to the notebook. If I do this for really large data, I will run into problems because I'm actually moving the data. Even if it's now in the HubOcean workspaces, you don't necessarily want to bring in huge data here. Here's a map that I had access to, but it's not public in the catalog. It's around Madagascar. It was part of the WIO Symphony project that I was part of some years back, and I had that as an example. Again, another coral map. We actually have a global database for biodiversity observations on the platform too. It's called OBIS. Some of you might be very familiar. This is our representation of that on the platform. It has 245 million rows of observation in it, so not a trivial data set. And I'm filtering it based on family Acropora, which is a coral type of coral, to bring just the data for Acropora corals in my area of interest. And I can bring that into the map. And now it's taking a little bit of time because we're actually running these operations live. But hey, it's already there. Look, so this actually worked quite quickly. If I would have brought in Alan Coral Atlas, we might have been waiting a bit longer. But here we can start, bringing in more maps together. But how to actually join them, and what if I did this for a very large area? So we actually have some features on the platform that allow you to do server-side operations. So that means we don't move the data, we just ask the platform to do the compute for us. And we're aggregating the data in here with something called H3 hexagons. And they, we'll see in a second how they look like. But it's a global hierarchy of standard spatial units that we can use. Resolution 8 is something like 5 square kilometers, maybe a bit more. And I'm aggregating is any of these coral reef data inside my hexagons. And then, yeah. And then I'm combining all of them into a master map. I'm running these. Let's give it a second. So what it means is you can actually run some fairly large compute jobs without moving the data, and you only bring in the results. We need to convert the spatial representation. It just has the H3 index. We can add it to the map, and we can push it back to Ocean Data Platform. And when it's in the Ocean Data Platform, you can make it available for anybody else to work with, and they can also push additional data into that data set. So an example of that, we are actually just running a couple of coral reef workshops, and we're going to have a seagrass one coming up where we did this in a few different regions of the world. And just to show you quickly a result. This is actually, now we're in the Caribbean. Sorry for the change of geography. We could have done this in the WIO too, but just in the interest of time, I'll show you an example of that. So anyway, here is some data in the Caribbean with different sources of maps that tells you that there is a coral there. And so you could stack up a lot of other kind of spatially interesting information in the region and combining lots of data sources and use it, for example, in your MSP. Now, I think that's the end of the demo part. It got quite extensive today, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'll show you, we've done this globally as some demo projects too, with lots of different habitats data, where you might want to say, here we know there's data about corals, here there might be corals. So you want to think about the gaps too. The options are essentially endless. This is just using the Ocean Data Platform, and then we have created a sort of web app to display the data. Okay, so before we go into the quick Q&A, I just want to remind you again that here on the left is the link to sign up to the platform. We highly encourage you to do that. It's free. You have access to everything we showed you today. And then I also highly encourage you to take this little survey to think about this self-paced option of a course. So again, take a screenshot, take a photo, so you have these. And I'm going to stop sharing just now. Okay, before we open up for the questions, I'm going to take you through a couple of poll questions, so please hang on for those. We much appreciate your sort of immediate feedback. Herman, I'll get to your question in a second. We can maybe do them simultaneously, these polls. Describe your experience of this webinar. You can say things like, you covered a lot. That was very complex, Gustav. Anyway, just some reaction to how you found the webinar today. A couple of words. And you can all see the results. None of them are logged in your person, so they're all anonymous. So feel free to put anything in there. And I'll come back to, we can have a quick look again. And these stays open, so if you don't think of anything just now, do it within the next 10 minutes. You see some responses coming in. I will. Thank you for the nice words. We'll come back to the full responses in a second. In the interest of time, I will just bombard you with a few more questions. I think they should be fairly quick. So the next question is which part of the live demo webinar were most relevant to your work? So it's a multi-choice. Just quickly think of, is it just accessing data? Are you interested in managing your own data in the My Data space? Or you're also interested in data analytics using the Ocean Data Platform. And you can select one or none or all, and then quickly hit submit. See if we can get a few more responses. I don't know if any of you have problems accessing it, but just have a go. Again, it's anonymous survey, so and you can see the results there. So yeah, I can just comment. There's quite a few that I think quite evenly across the board. This interest in accessing data in the catalog and to the data analysis part as well. So it means you're all keen to roll up your sleeves and do some work, which is great. That's what we want you to do, of course. Okay. So I just saw somebody put rapid fire into the experience. I know it's been a little bit of a packed webinar today, but again, it's recorded, and yeah, we're not expecting you to take in all of this information. It's really to give you a flavor of what we're doing, and this is what the course is about. And both the self-paced as well as the instructor-led courses is to give you a chance to really do this yourself, because you have to get hands-on. You have to experience the problems of actually working with real data, and then we have, you know, the ability to go much more applied. All right, two more questions and then we'll go on to your questions. Describe a challenge where you have where the Ocean Data Platform could be helpful. Yeah. Maybe you have some applied work you're thinking of, where you are interested in using the cloud or you need additional resources to what you have today. I know this one could be a bit hard to come up with a great answer in you know, in the short time. So just for those that already think of something, have a go. Let's see. Responses are a little bit slow, so yeah. Give it 10 more seconds. All right. Well, I'll just launch the last question so we can go to the question part. What kind of training opportunity would you be interested in joining? So just a quick temperature check. Again, this is not uh, any personal answers. So just what you're thinking now. Are you happy just exploring the platform on your own? Is a self-paced learning course an option for you? Or are you more into the instructor-led training? And again, this is multi-choice. I think I set it up as multi-choice at least. So you can do several responses. great. If actually, I would highly appreciate if you all try to answer this question, because it helps us think about how we resource going forward on the training part. So if you answer any of these questions, really, please try to do this one. Okay, I will keep that open. I see already we have a lead on the instructor-led training, but also interest in the self-paced learning. Great. Okay, so I will keep this open, but we'll go over to questions. So I think Hamran, you were first. You dare to unmute and ask the question? Then go ahead. Hamran, I see your hand up. Please go ahead. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, I saw this was answered in the chat, right? Okay, you're on. I think you can unmute yourself. So I am not allowed to unmute anyone. Okay, well, we figured that out. Stephen, do you want to have a go with your question?
Yes, thanks. So my question, I think I already posted in the question and answer. I was just checking how granular the data is, or is that already captured in the documentation? Reason being that sometimes would be interested to look at a very local scale tests, and maybe that's an area to also just check whether this data actually fits such scenario.
I think that's a great question, how to work across scales. And I would say that all depends on the data you make available. There's no limitation on zooming in, right? It's all about the data you bring in. So obviously there are limitations what we can make available with our own time and effort on the open catalog. But you as a user are, free to put in as detailed data as you like from a local area. And then some of these, global data sets are already at a scale that is useful locally. So, well, while not being perfect, data sets like Allen Coral Atlas and OBIS do have, the resolution of working, quite locally. But of course, they have limitations because they're, global in kind. And then, yeah, we are working, sort of project by project with users to bring in more data. And so, for example, in the WIO region, the more people that join in from there and the more people that are happy to publish a data set or collaborate, the more data we can make available. But you're also free to collaborate, privately, with partners and not share on the catalog. So that's always an option. Okay, did we have any more questions? Please unmute and ask them.
Bluetooth mode. So, thank you for the webinar. Can you hear me?
We can. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. I was wondering, I posted my question in the Q&A, but I was wondering a bit like the overlap with other data platforms that may be older that exist, like the hosted by the UNESCO IOC systems, and also wondering if we add data in there that's but to share with other collaborators and keeping it private for now, what is how does that, like the data information, does it become public to the platform, or is there problems with maybe the data sharing if the data is not publicly available yet? So I don't know if my question is very clear.
Okay, so first of all, data that you put into your My Data space, it's only yours. We cannot see it. So, you know, you're free to work with any kind of data that, you know, your research data or what it may be, and you can feel safe that it's there for your eyes only. And then I showed you briefly the options of adding collaborators, whether they have admin rights, view rights, or edit rights. And then you have the public link option, which again makes it easy to share that data without listing it. And then there is the publish option. And when it's published, we also make a JSON LD file available on the site, so Google search and other places can find the data. We can also create a DOI, a digital object identifier. Currently, that's a manual approach with Matthew involved, but we're making that available as a feature, so that if you want to publish new data through Ocean Data Platform, you can as well. But you can also publish them through, like, Zenodo or other places, and then bring them into the platform. When it comes specifically to something like OBIS, we have some examples of pushing data through Ocean Data Platform to OBIS and GBIF, and so we have done that with some industry data. So we try to be interoperable both ways. OBIS and GBIF specifically. OBIS is right now just a represented on what do we call it, Matthew? It's essentially a data set that we manually uploaded at the moment, so it's not a live pipeline, but that's coming. So you have to check the metadata for, is this the freshest version? And it depends on how we implement it in the catalog. But we try to build pipelines for anything that needs to be up to date. So did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I can maybe just add one thing to that, if that's okay, before we move on to the next one, which is, I think it's a really interesting question point, because we do have quite a lot of discussions with UNESCO IOC as well about how do we help support like play a role in this like system of like metadata flowing, for example, from like if data is first published in a national oceanographic data center, for example, how do you make sure that metadata flows different places? And they're definitely trying to find good ways to make that possible as well. And again, I think Julie in the questions had some great questions on data sovereignty and all these things tied together to some extent, I think. So we're trying to find the best way that we can help support the system of both local and global data systems.
Matthew, I see we missed a couple of questions in the Q&A. I can quickly address them, or
I think
we can also add.
I think Homeran's been waiting a while now, and
Hello.
it seems like, oh, sorry.
Good.
Can you hear
Let's
me?
go with that. We hear you.
Yes. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's excellent job. And I have question. I try to enter Jupyter Lab, but actually I lost. I couldn't come back to the homepage. So do you have a help center that we can return to ask and find solution?
Yes, there is both a support. You can put a support ticket in. You find there's a support button on the web page there. And then Matthew also shared the link to the Slack community, which is also a great way to get quick response and everyone can see it. I actually would recommend that if it's nothing sensitive, then please sign up to Slack, and then you can have quite immediate access to our backend team, pending their availability, but we try to be responsive.
Just one thing, Gustav, there's a couple of questions in the chat about us adding to a WhatsApp group, but I'm not sure if that's a mishearing, because I'm not aware that we have a WhatsApp group for feedback. unless you know of one
No,
yourself.
yeah, that's correct, Matthew. We do not have a WhatsApp group. We have a Slack community. So yeah, it's just a good platform to have yeah chats in an organized fashion. So yeah, I would recommend you go for the Slack community for now. Of course.
And just one
Yeah.
other final thing on Herman's point, I think just to make this crystal clear. I mean, so the workspace is really, I don't want to say it's separate to the platform. It's part of our offering, but it's an environment in itself. And actually, this is a kind of a technology that we've deployed essentially to help people get going and give them a data science environment for Python and stuff. So the actual the platform exists at app.hubocean.earth, and that's where it's kind of self-contained, and you can go back and forth between data sets and things. The workspace is slightly separate to that, so it's almost parallel in a way. It is supported by, and the data is available there, and there are some things we've done to make them work well together, but they are two separate things. So if you can't get back to the main page, I've just put it in the chat, then just try going back to the kind of core homepage link and
Q9P. SU6 Q9P. SU6.
Lazarus, we hear you now.
Okay. Clea, did you have a question? Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I was also wondering, maybe I missed this, if there is maximum storage capacity per user on their data space.
Matthew, you want to
go? We nominally work under a principle of fair use, basically, at the minute. Nobody has completely exploited that, so we're fine with it. We haven't put a fast and hard limit. I think we probably will come at one in the future, but essentially, please try using it. Yeah, and we haven't found someone who's managed to use so much that it's problematic yet. So, so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I was just trying to answer some of the Q&A questions while we were talking. I know we're a bit over time, and I'm grateful so many are still on the call. So you're of course welcome to leave, but I have a few more minutes available if there's any last question. Then just unmute and have a go.
Hi everyone. So in the Q&A session, I did put a question there as it pertains to the API keys that should be used of QGIS. There are two there, and I was wondering which one should be used.
Yeah, I answered that. I think there really is
Oh, you answered.
there's only yeah, but just now. No worries. There really is only one kind of keys. Matthew, stop me if I'm saying something wrong. So it's the same API key that you use from QGIS or from a science environment and so on. So as long as it's active, you can use any of your. You can have one keys, you can have multiple keys, but it's really only one way to connect with the API. And then just carefully follow the documentation on OGC features and vector tiles, and it should work. If you have still have problems, then reach out to us.
So the only way to reach out to you guys is through Slack, right?
That's the best way.
That's the best one. Was the link, the Slack link placed in the chat?
Yes. It was. And you guys all had an email from me as well. So you have my direct email too. You feel free to reach out to. We're trying to be as as open and accommodating as we have time for. So you're more than welcome to send us an email as well. But the Slack is nice because it gets exposure to the whole team and the right person can answer. And everyone gets to see it. Because I would just stress there's no stupid questions. It can be quite confusing, even the simple stuff, when you're getting started with a new tool like this. So don't worry if you don't understand something, many others probably think the same. And so if you post things on the Slack or you send us an email, don't feel ashamed that you have questions because I think you all have. So please just, go ahead and send them. Let's see if I missed something in the Q&A. I think we answered all of it now. Maybe I'll just add, again on that very important thing with IUC, UNESCO, because it touches on, why using the Ocean Data Platform compared with other systems. And I think cloud-based environments, there are a couple of different powerful ways to work in the cloud, and I think when it comes to data sharing, you can share data in many different ways. And I think in the world we have today, redundancy is important. And so I always recommend, to think in a redundant way when it comes to data. And we try to make that data really, easy and fast to access. We've built for speed. We have our advantages in the platform. We try to keep it simple. There are, for example, EU initiatives like Edito. They've built some data infrastructure as well. There's Google Earth Engine, which is optimized for satellite data, which we are not yet. And there are other ways to have data in the cloud. But I think, especially for ocean data, there's really not that much resources out there of this kind. And in our case, we have, professional backend engineers to build for speed. So we have an ability to sort of iterate and be quite agile, which could be, for example, I guess depending on what platform we're talking about, they might have different ways to do that. But we try to build for speed and simplicity, and we try to be quite fast at iterating this technology, which really has been around now for about a year, Matthew, right, in the current form. So it is quite new, but now stable and ready for lots of use. So we love feedback and comments. It's still quite early days for Ocean Data Platform. And I think the advantage of that is we're quite personal and we are very keen to help and support you. So that's why we're running these trainings. Okay, I just want to stop by thanking Wyomsa again. Abukeng, I don't know if you're still with us, but Wyomsa has been tremendously helpful in this to reach you guys and to collaborate with. And we're looking forward to. Was there another question? No. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna close here. Hope to see you all again, and stay tuned for different ways of getting more support in working with ocean data in the cloud.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello, was there a last question, Arthur?
Yes, please. Am I clear? Can you hear me, please?
We can.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you very much. The platform is very interesting. And sorry, I'm Nur Daoud from Somalia. I'm very interested in this. And this is really very interesting. So I just went through into the platform and registered currently, and it seems that I need to understand this platform more. So, and will we have another maybe sessions to understand this platform deeply? On the other hand, and we registered the training program that, however, we were not, the team sent us that we may not have space to attend this training. However, they also invited us into this session, into this session. So what I wanted to know is that how can we benefit to this program? Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's iterate on that one more time. So the main way we're addressing this now, because we had so many applicants. I don't know if you were here for the introduction. We had 350 applicants for 50 seats on the instructor-led training that is currently going on. And so we are doing essentially three things. This webinar and showing you the resources already available to allow you to get hands-on already. It's free for everyone to join and learn and follow documentation. Send us questions. That's always open for everyone already today. Then we're building a self-paced course. So on the right there on the screen, you see a QR code, and we'd love you to go in and register interest and help shape that. Lastly, we are looking into the instructor-led option together with Boyomsa, Pascal Obegang, and me. We'll be looking at how we can expand the instructor-led ocean data training, which goes a bit deeper, and we are doing joint projects together, supporting on the actual science and so on. And that you will be informed about that when we have an answer to you. So we have your emails, you've already been applying. We will reach out to you on that, but expect that to take a little bit of time. The idea is to have something in the fall, and we hope to have a lot more than the 50 seats. And we're looking to some additional funding options as well to sort of cover the additional cost of running larger instructor-led trainings. That's my best answer for today. I hope that was okay.
Very much. Thank
That's a great question to end with. Any burning last comments? Right. Okay, great. So thank you all so much for joining today. I think this is a very informative session for us as well. Thank you for answering the questions and for taking that poll I showed you. Thanks for replying. You guys did a great job of that. And looking forward to work with you in the future. Goodbye. And just to say, this is going to be recorded. You can go back and see it. And you'll find it on our webpage. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy Friday.